Hello. Today we will discuss the foreign policy part of the Arthshastra. Kautilya, the author of Arthshastra, is considered the earliest and the most profound thinker on the interstate relations. Although less than one-fifth of the Arthashastra explicitly discusses the foreign policy, it lays down the most systematic theory of the diplomacy and international politics known to the ancient world. It treats the state not as a monolith, but as an organic structure composed of six elements: the king, ministers, the fortified city, the countryside, and the treasury and the countryside. The strength of these constituents determines the power of the state in foreign relations. His central maxim, the welfare of the state depends on an active foreign policy, establishes that peace and prosperity arise from continuous intelligent engagement with the outside world rather than isolation. Kautilya views foreign policy as both theoretical and practical. His analysis applies to any king or state, and what he calls the interest of the king would today be called the national interest. He frames his theory primarily for small states surrounded by many others, reflecting the fragmented political scenario of ancient India. Four analytical devices guide the policy choices. First is the relative power. State must act according to comparative strength. Then is the deviation from the ideals. Reality also diverges from theory, so decisions must adjust to circumstances. Classification by motivation. Kings act from fear, greed, ambition, or virtue. Influence of the intangible and unpredictable. Fortune, intellect, and all acts of God affect outcomes. The power is not merely military or economic. The mantra Shakti, the power of counsel, intelligence, and strategy, is superior to the Prabhav Shakti, that is the military power, and Utsah Shakti, which is the energy and morale. Kautilya builds upon earlier thinkers but departs from them by rejecting fatalism and moral idealism. He emphasizes on a pragmatic, result oriented policy. One should neither submit spinelessly or nor act as foolhardy valor. Survival and long term advantages are paramount. Peace and war are means to this end. His teaching possesses timeless universality and applicable to state and organizations even today. Guiding tenets underlie Kautilya's diplomacy. First is a king must strengthen his state before conquest. Then the enemies be neutralized or destroyed. Next is those who assist are friends. Prudence must govern all actions. Peace is preferable to war. Justice must guide conduct in victory or defeat. So security and expansion depends on choosing between in non-intervention to consolidate gains and active intervention to enlarge power. Both depend on states' progress in resources, army, and diplomacy. The concept of enemy and Mandala theory. Among all neighbors, one will always be natural enemy. Ari, it is called Ari. The neighbor's neighbor is or thus a natural ally, Mitra. Beyond this, Kautilya envisages up to 12 interlinked states, creating a circle of states mandala. Every king has his circle of allies and adversaries, and the interplay among these circles constitutes the dynamic balance of power. Foreign policy success depends not only on military might but also on the intellectual and moral power. Kautilya classifies all external conduct into 26 methods applied according to one's relative power and circumstances. First is the peace or treaty. Concluding agreements or truces may involve non-intervention, temporary peace, or peace by giving hostages. It allows a king to consolidate resources, play the neutral role, or await better opportunities. Then is the war, which is also called Vigraha, encompasses open war, declared war, secret war, surprise and deception, and undeclared war, espionage, sabotage, and subversion. Then is the state of neutrality, which is called asana, remaining quiet when neither side can harm the other, a pause to wait for favorable change. Preparation for war, yana, strengthening oneself for future campaigns. Seeking shelter, samsarya, taking refuge with the stronger ally or fort when threatened. And dual policy, making peace with one king to wage war on another, combining friendship and hostility to serve one's interests. These six constitute a complete toolbox of statecraft. Their selection depends solely on whether the chosen method leads to progress, that is called vidhi, rather than decline. A wise king uses these methods flexibly. Make peace when weaker, wage war when stronger, stay quiet when parity prevails, prepare for war when resources increase, seeking support when vulnerable, use dual policy when the advancement requires alliance. Peace is favored if both parties benefit fairly, war if peace would lead to injustice or exploitation. Kautilya imagines the conqueror at a hub of the wheel, allies on the rim connected by spokes. By aligning allies before and behind the enemy, the conqueror can squeeze and destroy even a stronger foe. He identifies three types of aggressors. They are righteous aggressors that seek submission only, a greedy aggressor which seeks land or wealth, a monstrous aggressor which seeks destruction of life and honor. Amongst each, the king must choose appropriate policy from negotiation to total war. Treaties are vital instruments for peace and deception alike. They can be conditional or unconditional, equal or unequal, short term or long term. Kautilya distinguishes between agreements based on the honor oath and those enforced by the less stable, that is, sureties or hostages. He also describes seven variations of treaties based on the time, place, and objective. He renegotiation may occur if conditions change, but returning allies who once defeated are distrusted. Living with a snake is living in a constant fear. Allies form the external limb of the state. Their true characteristic is helpfulness. Even an enemy who assists is preferable to an ally who withholds aid. Kautilya identifies several types of these allies: true friend, loyal and consistent; share, steadfast ally, which who shares objectives and remains stable; fickle ally, shifts from between the sides; indifferent ally, who's natural and self-interested; weak ally, dependent and not committal; unhelpful or inimical ally, potentially dangerous. The best ally is the long-standing, controllable, powerful, quick to mobilize, and faithful. Cordelia repeatedly warns: help given to a friend in distress cements the friendship. Choosing between the allies. When faced with a choice, a controllable but temporary ally is better than a constant but uncontrollable one. A constant small helper is better than a temporary big helper. A quick mobilizer is better than a mighty but slow friend. A land giving ally is superior to a money giving ally since land brings perpetual wealth. Allies must neither become too strong nor too weak. The conqueror should maintain balance by sama, that is conciliation, and dana, that is gift, with the weak, and the bheda, division, and danda, with the strong. Joint operations. Alliances are means to increase power, wealth, and land. In that order of priority, joint campaigns should be planned only with upright and reliable rulers. Partnership with two unequal are safer than one with one stronger ally. Gains from campaigns should be distributed fairly, and the conqueror should show generosity to strengthen loyalty. When objectives conflict, land remains the supreme acquisition, for with land comes the wealth and the allies. Before embarking on a war, a king must analyze eight factors: power, terrain, timing, types of troops required, internal stability, risk of treachery. Power, place, and time are interdependent. Success comes when superiority exists in all three. Kautilya disapproves of waiting for enemies' misfortunes. Initiative should rest on one's own readiness. So, power comprises Mantra Shakti, counsel and analysis; Prabhav Shakti, that is the might, which includes the armed forces and the economic strength; Utsaha Shakti, or the energy; intelligence surpasses might, will, and morale. Troops must be chosen according to enemy type: regular type, militia type, allied or tribal forces. Secret agents disguised as the merchants ensure supply and recover double profits after campaign. Blending warfare with economic prudence. Expenditure control prevents calamities to both army and treasury. No expedition should be launched if there is even a remote threat of revolt in the rear, for internal stability outweighs external gains. A campaign is justified only if expected gains exceed losses and expenses. Kautilya differentiates: risky acquisitions bring wealth, virtue, and pleasure, but with danger. Wrong acquisitions bring loss, sin, and misery. Doubtful acquisition, in which the uncertain results are there to be avoided, they should be avoided. Immediate small gains should not outweigh larger long-term benefits. Kautilya's four basic methods, that is Sama, Dana, Bhed, Dand, which is also called conciliation, gift, division, and force, are applied according to the situation. Pious rulers are won by praise and respect, greedy kings by gift, oligarchic threats by sowing dissension, energetic, hostile king by secret force or assassination. These methods represent the flexible moral spectrum of the realpolitik. Confederacies of kings are dangerous due to the combined power. The conqueror must break their unity through persuading the leader with money and alliances, create mistrust among the members, signing separate treaties with key players, employing double agents to spread the rumors. When Confederacy lacks a leader, he should identify the most influential member, inciter or the resolute man, fearful or greedy one, and win him over accordingly. If time is short, the king should temporarily make peace and rebuild strength. Oligarchies, being cohesive, require more stable means, showing internal class in conflict, assassination, or setting up pretenders to divide them. Beyond the immediate circle of the friend and foe lie middle king, one who shares a border with both conqueror and the enemy, more powerful than each. neutral king, even more powerful but distant. The conqueror must prevent the middle king from becoming too strong, leaning towards whichever side of the mandala benefit him most. Helping one against the other is justified, but if it weakens a future threat. In essence, the neutrality is temporary condition. Today's neutral may be tomorrow's rival. An attack in the rear occurs when a third king strikes while two others fight. If both the conqueror and the enemy attack different rear opponents, the one who chooses the stronger target emerges ultimately superior, for he eliminates the a greater future danger. Kautilya advises calculated aggression over inaction. Even costly war is justified if it leads to enemy's destruction. Diplomacy is central to Kautilya's foreign policy. Envoys act as negotiators, spies, and propagandists. Their duties include gathering intelligence, maintaining treaties, acquiring allies, and subverting the enemies, conveying secret agents and treasure, and liberating hostages. They must be watched by counter envoys to prevent betrayal. Kautilya anticipates modern espionage and counterintelligence. Kautilya, the realism is tempered by ethics. He insists that peace and war alike be guided by justice, dharma. A king must not seize the land of allies, nor mistreat a subjugated ruler. Even while pursuing conquest, he must act for the stability of the state, not personal glory. Peace based on fairness is idle. Unjust peace is worse than war. Kautilya's system anticipates balance of power and national interest. Strategy must align power, peace, and time. Wisdom, morality, and adaptability remain in key in global politics. The final section addresses the predicament of a weak king facing aggression. Kautilya rejects extreme, neither stand surrender nor suicidal resistance. The weak should seek refuge with stronger king possessing good advisor and suitable terrain. Defend from a fort if external help is unavailable. Surrender with dignity if defeat is inevitable, trusting that a righteous victor will treat him fairly. Three forms of treaties for the weak include surrendering self or army, with or without hostages, surrendering treasury, buy off, tribute, or golden treaty, surrendering territories, that is secession, scorched earth, or lease. Among these, the golden treaty, reasonable payment be with mutual trust is considered the best. Kautilya's Arthshastra presents an integrated vision of internal strength and external diplomacy. It teaches that statecraft is perpetual contest of intellectual power, of intellect, power, and prudence. The wise ruler balances morality with the expediency, peace, war, neutrality, and the alliance are tools, not ends. The ultimate goal is sukha and suraksha, happiness and security. Doctrine remains relevant. His doctrine remains relevant for contemporary geopolitics, where survival, alliance, deterrence, and intelligence still define the international relations. The Arthshastra thus stands as the earliest and the most comprehensive manual of strategic realism in human history. Thank you.